In My Hero Ultra Rumble, not every character takes the same amount of skill to play. Some are straightforward, letting you jump in and find success almost immediately, while others demand precision, good positioning, and a deep understanding of the character to function properly. My name's Yestermorn, and in this video we're taking a look at the hardest characters to play in My Hero Ultra Rumble. This isn't about who's the strongest or weakest in the meta, but how demanding a character is mechanically and mentally. If you enjoy content like this, consider liking the video or subscribing for more Ultra Rumble videos. With that out of the way, let's get into it. In my opinion, the 6th hardest character to play is All For One. On the surface, he doesn't seem that demanding. None of his base attacks are especially difficult to land, and mechanically he isn't very complex. The real challenge with All For One isn't execution, it's decision making. His special action allows him to steal enemy quirks and use them himself. Anytime a character relies on other characters' abilities, the skill requirement naturally goes up. To play All For One well, you need a strong understanding of every ability in the game, how they function, when they're strong, and how they fit into different situations. Constantly switching between multiple borrowed tools can be overwhelming, even for experienced players. That's only part of it though. In his base kit, All For One has no mobility. Instead, he relies on his gamma to pull or push enemies away. The ability itself is easy to dodge and leaves him exposed, which means timing is everything. You have to catch opponents mid-attack or in mid-air to get real value out of it. All For One may look straightforward at first glance, but once you factor in the mental load and precision required, there's far more depth to him than meets the eye. Next at number 5 is Gun Bakugo. Unlike All For One, this is a character that demands a high level of mechanical skill. With only 250 HP, he can't afford to take many hits, which means he relies heavily on staying airborne to survive. To deal consistent damage, you have to constantly land shots well above your opponents, and that's much easier said than done. His alpha feels slow and somewhat clunky, requiring very precise aim to get strong value. On top of that, you're not just using it for damage, you're also using the recoil to keep yourself in the air. Ideally, you're balancing both at the same time. His other abilities aren't quite as mechanically demanding, but they still require good decision making. Rapid Bakugo's kit has a very specific rhythm to it. You're constantly chaining abilities together just to maintain momentum and avoid getting caught. Experienced machine gun players understand one thing: if you touch the ground for even a moment, you're in serious danger. That constant pressure to stay mobile and accurate at the same time is what makes him so difficult to play effectively. Coming in at number 4 is Rapid Mirio. He's one of those characters that feels fairly easy to pick up at first, but extremely difficult to truly master. On paper, he has a lot of disadvantages compared to most of the roster. First, he has the lowest HP in the game at just 225. Second, he doesn't have a single range option, meaning he's forced to play up close if he wants to deal any damage. And even when he does get in, his damage output isn't particularly high. That makes securing KOs surprisingly difficult. Of course, that doesn't mean Rapid Mirio is weak. I main him, and in the right hands he can absolutely take over a match. The difference is that you have to maximize everything. Perfect use of permeation, clean combo execution, and smart engagement timing are all mandatory. You can't waste opportunities. None of that comes naturally though, and it takes a lot of practice. Rapid Mirio has clear downsides, but when played correctly he becomes nearly untouchable, and that balance between fragility and evasiveness is exactly what makes him so difficult to use effectively. Number 3 belongs to Rapid Ochaco. She's a starter character, but don't let that fool you. Getting real value out of her kit takes a lot more skill than most people give her credit for. Both her alpha and beta demand strong aim to land consistently, and her beta requires precise timing to get proper value. On top of that, her float special action has a learning curve of its own. It's excellent for mobility, but it can easily become a liability in fights if you misuse it. Knowing exactly when to activate it, and just as importantly, when to turn it off, is a gap that many players never fully close. And that's before you even factor in her combo potential. Rapid Ochaco has access to some incredibly strong damage strings, but they're far from easy to execute consistently in real matches. They require positioning, timing, and clean inputs. This might be a hot take since she's widely considered a very strong character, but strength doesn't automatically mean simplicity. Both her skill floor and skill ceiling are higher than most people realize, which is why she lands at number 3. At number 2, we have Shota Aizawa. When I think of pure skill expression in Ultra Rumble, Aizawa is the first character that comes to mind. There's a reason people respect strong Aizawa players. You can immediately tell when someone knows what they're doing. For starters, he thrives almost exclusively in 1v1s. That means positioning is everything. If you take a bad angle or try to fight multiple enemies at once, you're going to get overwhelmed very quickly. You have to isolate fights and control engagements. His movement also demands mechanical precision. Constantly bouncing off the ground, walls, and even enemies to stay mobile isn't something that comes natural at first. It takes practice to maintain momentum without losing control. And then there's a special action, easily the biggest hurdle. It's highly situational and needs to be woven into your attacks at the right moment to have a real impact. With its long cooldown, you can't afford to waste it. One misused erasure can completely swing a fight in the wrong direction. Aizawa isn't difficult because of one specific mechanic. His entire kit requires a lot of skill. But once you truly master him, he becomes one of the most oppressive characters in the game. Lastly, the character that requires the most skill to play is Neito Monoma. Like All For One, he demands a deep understanding of the entire roster, but with Monoma, that requirement is even more extreme. His entire identity revolves around copying specific abilities by hitting enemies with a corresponding move. If you want Assault Deku's alpha, for example, you have to connect with your own alpha to take it. That means it's not enough to simply recognize abilities. You need to know whether each one is an alpha, beta, or gamma so you can deliberately target the one you actually want. In the middle of a chaotic fight, that level of awareness is hard to maintain. In the late game, it gets even more complex. You're constantly swapping through borrowed abilities, adapting on the fly, and trying to pull the exact right tool for whatever situation you're facing. Keeping track of what you've copied, what you need, and what's available can be overwhelming. Monoma's default kit isn't mechanically flashy in the traditional sense, but the sheer amount of game knowledge and decision making he requires puts him above anyone else here. No character demands more awareness of the entire cast than he does, and that's why he takes the #1 spot on today's list. That's going to wrap up today's video. Don't feel bad if your main didn't make the list. There are plenty of characters in Ultra Rumble that take skill to play. These were just the 6 that, in my opinion, stand on another level when it comes to difficulty. I'm curious what you think though. Which character do you believe requires the most skill in the game? Would you have moved anyone higher or lower? Tell me in the comments, I read all of them. If you enjoyed the video, consider liking it or subscribing for more My Hero Ultra Rumble content. I've got plenty more on the way. Thanks for watching, this has been Yestermorn, and I'll see you in the next one.